like to rant. Ranting is fun. It also cleanses the soul.
Detroit is to be one of the best sports cities in the country, if not the best.
Surely Javi can't be as bad this year as he was last year. Surely that can't be the case.
One of the worst offenses, if not the worst offense, like in the modern era of baseball. Just absolutely atrocious. He is a piece to the puzzle. He is not the entire puzzle.
Right.
He's a puzzle piece, but he is not the entire puzzle.
This is the Michigan in Trumbull podcast with your hosts, Alex S. Freeman and Luke Giaconis.
Hello and welcome to the Michigan and Trumbull podcast. I'm Alex Freeman, joined as always by Luke Giaconis. Luke, it's interesting now that we've started actually like listening to the opening credits as we roll into the episode is how many of those things we said 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I'm like, yeah, probably could have said that last week.
Still rings true. Looking at you, Javi.
Yeah, how are you aside from the Tigers?
Good. And we'll get to the Tigers here in a second. It's in just off the top. It's not that bad. I get that. Sometimes I still gotta I just want this team to win, man. I was telling my lovely significant other yesterday. I said when the Tigers were down in that Twins game and then miraculously somehow came back in the bottom of the eighth. I just want my teams to win. I've never seen my teams win before. I don't know what it's like. My entire life, I only know failure and losing. And it's like you see other people's teams win. So you're like, I want to enjoy that. But beyond that, I had a wonderful weekend. Went to the beach here in Florida. Had some Chinese food Saturday night. Watched a lot of streaming stuff. Watched some stuff on Peacock, a little Netflix. Watched the Masters. Saw that. Always a good time. Scotty Scheffler, congratulations. Good stuff all around.
Yeah. I'm also in Florida. We're nowhere really near each other at the moment.
No, deceivingly long state.
But I also watched a lot of Masters this weekend, really Thursday through Saturday. Then Sunday I was enjoying some golf of my own at Disney's Palm Golf Course.
Attaboy. Give it the plug.
Beautiful course. As I texted my father after playing the course, I was like, I can wholeheartedly recommend a Disney golf vacation because the Palm was beautiful. I only assume Magnolia is beautiful. Oak Trail is there for you. You can play foot golf on Oak Trail. For those that don't want to swing a golf club, you can kick a soccer ball and
swing your feet.
And Lake Buena Vista also looks beautiful as the other course on property. It's just great. It's beautiful. It's the first time I've ever played a course that has hosted a PGA Tour event. All
right, little trivia for you at the top of the show. So Disney golf courses. Now I'm sure they were all used in particular, but I would imagine in particular the Magnolia course. Mm-hmm. They filmed many years ago the hit golf reality show that was on the Golf Channel, Big Break Golf, which truly I love to watch. That is a guilty pleasure show of mine. I wish it was still on the air and they had new seasons and whatnot. But they had a season called Big Break Disney Golf. In that season, a current PGA Tour member debuted on there with, I believe it was his twin brother, whose first name was Gipper. Do you want to take a guess at who that tour member is?
Gosh.
This is a obscure and deep cut trivia question, but you left it open. I have to deliver the food. Want to take a guess?
I have zero idea.
Fair enough. I mean, this is obscure. I'll give you a little hint. The first letter of this golfer's name is the letter T.
Tiger Woods.
Correct. It was Tiger. Who would have thought?
Tiger's twin brother, Channel. Gipper Woods. We
were looking for Tony Finau.
All right.
Debuted on Big Break Disney Golf, and his twin brother or his brother Gipper Finau was also a contestant on that season. I don't think Tony won. I think he came in second place. But yeah, little trivia, little Tony Finau trivia to get you going. on this episode of the Michigan in Trouble podcast.
I'll give you some Tiger Woods trivia, Luke.
All right.
In what year did Tiger Woods win at Disney's Magnolia?
I'm gonna go 2005.
You are 9 years late. It was 1996.
Oh,
His
tough.
second win ever on the PGA Tour.
That's actually pretty swift. That's awesome.
It's very funny because if you're in the clubhouse, they obviously have like the champions photos from all the events that have been there. And in most of the photos, Mickey Mouse is presenting the trophy. Except for Tiger Woods' win, they had Tigger come do it.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, okay. Well played, Disney. I see you. I see what you're doing there. Yep.
I like to think that they had like both the Mickey costume and the Tigger costume just in the back, and they're like, "Who's going out? Who's going out?"
I don't know if I've ever asked you this question, which shame on me because you're one of my best friends on this planet. Are you pro Tiger Woods?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I know like there are people who, I mean, I love Tiger Woods. I think he's the greatest golfer of all time. I know he's obviously had his demons and some struggles from time to time on the course and off the course. But I know there's also a camp of people who hate Tiger Woods. And I just didn't know where you fell on the spectrum. I love Tiger Woods. He's my favorite golfer. I think the game of golf is better when Tiger Woods is in. It's kind of how Miguel Cabrera was for the game of baseball. When Miguel Cabrera was healthy and playing baseball, the sport of baseball was just better. That's exactly how I feel about Tiger Woods.
Yeah, obviously plenty of things in Tiger's personal life that make you a little hesitant to be pro Tiger Woods for sure.
Yep.
At best, but I like to see the greatest do great things. And so I would love to see Tiger win another green jacket at some point in life, although that seems to be fading, that possibility.
After he made the cut, he had a rough go. But from everything I read, he is planning to play, I believe, at the PGA Championship in May. And because I think he's only pretty much doing the 4 majors. Now, I don't know if he's doing much else beyond that. But I mean, me too. I'm with you. One day I'd love to see him get another green jacket. Will it happen? Who knows? But to quote Happy Gilmore, green jacket, gold jacket, who gives a shit? I just want to see Tiger Woods play some golf and kick ass.
Yeah,
that last part I added on, but I think people get what I'm going for here.
One last, before we move into baseball, one last Masters thing. Have you seen? So there's all sorts of traditions and fanfare that surround the Masters, and one of those things that surrounds the Masters is that there is a drawing for members of the media to get to play Augusta on the Monday following the Masters. And so like you have to be a member of the media to enter. I don't know if we qualify in this podcast, but I'm sure going to try in the future. But one of the people who won the entry is this weather woman from Wisconsin. She won, and it will be the first round of golf she has ever played will be at Augusta National today.
Dude, that's so funny. I hope that woman goes out there and sets a new course record. I really do. That just to put everybody in their
47.
Place. Love it. Absolutely. I saw one last thing. Then we can for real get into the Tigers. I saw a pretty funny TikTok over the weekend they were probably high school kids. They essentially prank called the pro shopper or whoever, whatever the line is at Augusta, and was like, "Yeah, we're just seeing if you guys got any openings this weekend. Can we get a foursome book for Saturday afternoon?" And the woman was like, "We're a members only course." And he goes, "Oh no, I know. We're members here. We're just trying to see if we can get you guys any tea times for a foursome." And she goes, "Sir, you know what's going." He's like, "Well, what's going on? You got something going on this weekend?" She just hung up on him. I thought it was very funny. Trying to get a tea time the weekend of the Masters. That is good comedy right there.
That's so good. That's so
Love
good. I think I would die if I played Augusta National.
I know I would die. As someone, as we talked about before we got recording, as someone who lives in Florida and very rarely golfs, but enjoy, I literally am looking at my golf clubs right now as we're recording this episode. They're just collecting dust in the corner. As someone who has played in the past, I'm not that I was even good in the past. I know I would die. I know I would die. It's when people ask you hypotheticals like, what do you think? What do you think you could shoot on Augusta at the Masters? It's like, I don't know, a 900. I'm not good. I'm not good at this kind of stuff.
Like, let's see, I'm supposed to pick up after 10, so
Yeah.
probably not worse than 180, but we'll see. I don't.
Yeah, put me down for a solid 714. That's where I'll be. And then drinking my sorrows at the bar. No, one day, if the opportunity ever, arose, absolutely, I'd give it a go, but
Mhm.
it would be ugly.
Yep, and it'd be the round of my life. What a time! What a time it would be. All right, let's from Tiger Woods, let's go to the Detroit Tigers. See how I did that? That's a pro
I did.
move. Let me play Augusta on the Monday after the Masters. I think, Luke, let's set you up for the rant, because we've now got a rant worthy bit of the season, and then we can kind of talk ourselves back from the ledge after you rant. So
Right.
on the other side of the music, we'll have a Luke rant. Everybody, get ready.
Today's rant is brought to you by the number 46. 46, the number of times the Detroit Tigers struck out in a 4-game series against the Minnesota Twins. That, folks, is putrid. Absolutely putrid. Friday night, which they won that game, 15 strikeouts. And you got to say to yourself, ooh, 15 strikeouts. There's no way it gets worse than 15 strikeouts. But hold on a second there, kiddos. Saturday matinee game, 17 strikeouts. 17 strikeouts on that Saturday game. Now, to be fair, that game did go 12 innings, but nonetheless, 17 strikeouts. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Saturday night game, which they lost, 10 strikeouts. And Sunday, they showed some serious improvement, only 4 strikeouts. 46 strikeouts, though, and 4 games is completely unacceptable. Now, this is the negative part of the show first, because we will get to the positives, because there are lots of positives with this team right now, although it may not feel like it. They're 9-6. They are second in the American League Central. This is their best start in years, by far the best start under A.J. Hinch, which shout out to him. Congratulations. Just secured his 800th Major League career win yesterday as a manager. Congrats, A.J. But overall, the offense, and I know on last week's show I was kind of like, give him time. Give him time. It's early. It's early. And it's true. It is early. We're only 15 games into this thing. What we're seeing, though, from this offense has been pretty awful. The last time we recorded a show, we watched as the Tigers lost on a walk-off to the Mets. So there's been a little bit of time in between. They lost 2 of 3 to Oakland at home. They split a series with Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, and they just split a series with the Twins back home. And out of all those games that we've seen, maybe minus 1 or 2, the offense has looked dreadful in all of them. And it is a little concerning. Again, it's early. It's cold and crappy in Michigan in the month of April. I totally understand that. But when your team is striking out 46 times in 4 games, I don't care if it's game 15 or game 162, that is completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable, and has to be addressed, and has to, quite frankly, stop. The fact that this team struck out 46 times in 4 games and ended up winning 2 out of those 4 games is a damn near miracle. And we'll get into it, I'm sure, here a little bit later, but however they lucked their way into that win yesterday in that Twins game in the finale, everyone on that team should have gone and played the Powerball that last night, because that was true luck how they did that. Real quick, though, I want to get one more thing in here before we end this rant. These averages, these batting averages, along with the strikeouts, are terrible. And I know it's such an old-fashioned and cliche thing to say, well, there's more to baseball than batting average with the analytics and WAR and all this slugging plus. I get it. But let me give this to you real quick. Parker Meadows, 2 for 33 this season with 7 walks, 16 strikeouts. He is hitting .061 on the season. He's 2 for 33 for the season. That's freaking terrible. You got to get it together, Parker. Javi Baez, who admittedly started that rally in the bottom of the 8th inning in that finale game against the Twins, is 6 for 43 on the year with 14 strikeouts, 0 walks. Javi Baez has yet to draw a walk through 15 games, and he's making $25 million this year to play baseball. That sucks. Even by Javi's standard, that sucks. So, to conclude this rant, It's early. There have been signs of improvement. The record is there. It is a good start. I'm happy about all of that. But if this shit continues, we're going to be looking up in the standings, looking up thinking, what the hell went wrong? How do we go from 9-6 to 9-55? This offense is concerning. We'll get to more specifics here in a second. But to put everyone on notice, be careful, because this offense might be dog shit.
Not out of
Not bad.
practice is Luke Jaconis ranting. That was nice.
Thank you.
Luke.
Yeah,
well done.
Felt good. I did a little homework beforehand. You got to do your homework with these things. And in past, I haven't. Sometimes you sound like an idiot. I sound like an idiot most times anyway. But 46 strikeouts, that's terrible. Yeah. I mean, I get it. I get it. It's early, and I get it. The weather's not great, but there's no excuse for that. There's no you can't go from 15 strikeouts on a Friday night and say, let's make an improvement. Nope, let's strike out 2 more times on the Saturday matinee for 17. Like that's just unacceptable.
Yep, it is just an intense lack of plate discipline coming from this team, and spearheaded by none other than one Javier Baez, who has just continued to look awful at the plate. They're ugly strikeouts, and it feels different. You brought up Parker Meadows, who obviously needs to get it together at the plate, or he needs to go to Toledo to get it together at the plate. But Parker's strikeouts feel so different from Javi's, because like when I'm watching Parker strike out, he's missing pitches that are in the zone. And that's a different issue than Javi continuing to swing at things that are way outside.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what are you possibly seeing, Javi? Like, Parker's reacting late, and he's swinging under a ball, which feels much more fixable than stop swinging your damn bat.
Well, pitchers have it out for him. The report is out on Javi Baez. If you get ahead of him, you get him in the hole 0-2, 1-2, throw him that sweeper off the plate. He's chasing it. It. He has not proven that he's got any discipline down through, I think it was 63 at bats or whatever I said, this 43 at bats to start this season. And I'll give him credit. Yeah, he definitely was the spark plug that started that rally in the bottom of the eighth of the but he's getting paid $25 million a year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm not throwing the guy a parade because he finally hit a home run. He's hitting $140 on the season. Like, I saw his post-game interview yesterday too, and they asked him, how do you feel about the boos? And he's like, well, I've been booed my entire career. And he said this thing about, I wish fans wouldn't boo because, when I'm playing well, they won't boo, but I feel like we should all go through this together. Like, if we're down, we go through it together. If we're up, we go through it together. And I'm sorry, Javi, like, I understand it within reason. And he also made some comments too about, like, people heckling from behind the net. And I think with heckling, there's always that line, but people can voice their frustrations. Just don't be a dick about it. Don't take it that far extreme. And we all, as responsible adults, should know where that line and that extreme lies. But people can voice their frustrations with Javier Baez. The man is making $25 million a year. He hasn't done shit in Detroit. This is now his 3rd season. And the unfortunate part is we're stuck with him. There's only 2 ways that the Tigers are going to be rid of Javi Baez. If he has a magical year and he wants to try to test the waters with a free agency by opting out, or they're just going to cut him and they're going to need a ton of money, which the second is more likely than the first. So people have every right to be frustrated with Javi Baez. I don't want to see him fail, but I just feel like at this point, he is someone who looks like, I hate to pull the old thing of like, they just look like they don't care out there. But with Javi Baez, I've said this since day one, that is my problem with him. Where I will give Javi credit for, and I tweeted this during the game, I think yesterday, and this is a very low stakes credit to give him, but I'll give it to him nonetheless. I don't think I've seen him skip one ball in the dirt to Spencer Torkelson this season at shortstop.
That's true.
Defensively, he's been fine through 15 games. But when you're $25 million a year shortstop, when the best thing you can say about that person is that they're not skipping the ball to first base, and they're just doing the bare minimum, that's a problem. That's a problem. And there are a lot of problems with this offense. Javi Baez is definitely at the top of the list.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is very, very fair. I mean, he's had a couple of really, really nice looking defensive plays, but he's also had a couple of moments where I'm like, Javi, what are you doing? Would at least be super plus defensively if you're not going to be contributing at the plate like we want you to, and why we signed you to. Like, and yeah, I'm done giving Javi any credit for little bits of dazzle, because I'm sick of a little bit of dazzle and then 3 weeks of terrible. It's over for me.
Going back to
that regard,
it's over. It's over.
It's over.
It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. Going back to Parker Meadows real quick, and I don't want to dog on Parker Meadows because I really like Parker Meadows. I still think Parker Meadows definitely has a spot on this roster, but it's clear it's been a pretty brutal start. I think if it doesn't turn around within the next few games, he will take a vacation to Toledo to kind of figure some things out. But where I give Parker Meadows a little bit of more of a leash or leeway than I do a Javi Baez, Parker Meadows isn't making $25 million a year. Parker Meadows has been in the league a fraction of the time that Javier Baez has. There isn't this big implication that that's your superstar in Parker Meadows. He is a rookie who we're just trying to see how he kind of adapts being in the major leagues and how he adapts seeing major league pitching. And thus far it has been great, but I'm willing to give him more chances, kind of more of his time to figure out and get his footing underneath him. When I already know that there's potential maybe something could change with Parker Meadows, there's no potential of things changing with Javi Baez. Yeah. So that's why, although they're both not doing well right now, I'm a little bit more like, damn it, Parker, I want you to see you do well. Maybe go to AAA and let's try, take a couple weeks out of here and, try to come back and refresh. I don't know. That's at least how I go off of the Parker Meadows things. But two other people I want to bring up kind of on this rant of shame. Jake Rogers, who I love, 3 for 27 on the season, 2 walks, 13 strikeouts. He's hitting 111. I will say this, through 15 games, and I'd have to look at the splits and the stats, I feel like Carson Kelly has almost played more than Jake Rogers. We have seen Carson Kelly a lot more.
It has felt that way. I would agree.
I don't know why that is. I'm going to check real quick.
Yeah. While you're checking that, I'll kind of start to transition us towards some of the more positives here. In that, like, this offense has looked fairly bad most of the season. Through all 15 games, there's been a few sparks of like, oh, okay, that's what it should look like. But they're 9-6, and that is certainly to a credit that they are finding ways to win games when things are not going well offensively, which has not been the case for the Detroit Tigers for quite some time, and is certainly one of those marks of a championship team. I'm not saying that this is a championship team. I don't want anyone to take that I'm like, let's plan the parade route. This team can win when it's hard. But that is a sign of a step in the correct direction, of a step into, this is how we are going to win a division. This is how we are going to make a playoff run, is that we can find ways to win when, most of the guys who should be hitting well are hitting 200 or below, and still finding ways to win games and sitting at 9-6. So that is kind of like one of like my key takeaways that I'm feeling right now. Obviously, as we're recording this, we're about to start a series with the defending World Series champions. So that'll be yet another big test series. This is not an easy stretch of the schedule for them in April. But again, if we can, get 1 or 2 wins off of the Rangers, that's great. Keep ourselves above 500 as we figure things out. That's good. That's ultimately good.
Carson Kelly, for the record, he's had 31 at-bats thus far into the season. So pretty even down the middle with him and Jake Rogers. I don't know why. I feel like I've just seen him catching a lot of games this season as opposed to Jake. But it's been
Well, I will
pretty
say
50-50.
Jake did DH in there.
He's DH'd a lot. That's true. Yeah,
a time or two.
Mhm.
So I do think that Carson has probably caught more than Jake has.
It's pretty close, or maybe the slight edge to Carson Kelly. Real quick, I don't want to totally just derail, and I agree with what you just said. I do. I think your points are valid. The one thing too, where the Tigers have to get better on offense is a Spencer Torkelson, and I know we talked about him on last show, and I know he had 2 hits, and he had the game winning run in the Sunday matinee against the Twins. He's on that list, though, for me, too. We got to start seeing more out of Torkelson. We can't have a guy who's already had 60-plus at-bats to start the season starting this slow. You just you can't have it. You absolutely cannot have it. So that's as much I'm going to say with Torque. I'm also giving Torque a little bit of a longer leash, too, and I'll just say it for the reasons why. Because I saw Torkelson last year step up. When I was ready to throw the book away on him, like, yeah, this guy's not got it, he proved me wrong. So I'm giving Torkelson a couple more weeks to figure it out. I saw him hit 30-plus home runs last year. I know he's got it in him. I think he'll do it again. But the clock's ticking with him because he needs to figure it out. Let's get to the positives now. Kind of like what you said. My biggest positive for me right now is, again, the bullpen. But in particular, Jason Foley has pitched in 8 games this season. He's got 4 saves, and he has yet to let up an earned run, which I think is just sensational. He's kind of, I guess, fallen his way into the closer's role. I know AJ Hinch was very much like, we're not going to have a closer on this team. It's whoever I think is the best guy at that point in time. And we have seen him pitch at different innings, no doubt about it. But the level of confidence I have when Jason Foley takes the mound is at an all-time high. I know he had a little bit of trouble closing out that game yesterday against Minnesota, and this is where I'm just amazed that I'm saying this about the Tigers bullpen. Although they bent, they did not break. And a couple of years ago, I'm like, yep, they're going to lose this game. But even yesterday, kind of just checking in, I was like, no, something's going to happen. They're going to get out of this. They're going to get this win. It's all good. They got their best pitcher on the mound. And that definitely happened. And what we've seen with Jason Foley so far this season has been great. I mean, overall, this bullpen, while it's definitely shown that it is mortal over these last few series, still supremely impressed. I mean, Tyler Holton, Alex Faedo, I love him in the bullpen. I think his days as a starter are definitely long gone and probably for the better, but he's been so effective, I think, coming out of the bullpen. Chafin's been good. Shelby Miller's been good. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but Joey Wentz thus far, in his few appearances that he's pitched in, he's been pretty okay. I think Joey Wentz is another one of those guys like Faedo that I think trying to force him into that starter's role, it's just not going to happen. He's a bullpen arm, and I think that's probably best. The one thing I will say about this bullpen, and I'll kind of kick it to you after this, is, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I tweeted this out over the weekend. It was about this time last year. I said Alex Lang is one of the best major league closers in all of baseball, if not the best. Because I think he started off the season like 8 for 8 or 9 for 9. I don't really remember, but he started off hot. Alex Lang isn't even a top 5 relief pitcher on this roster anymore, let alone the entire scope of the major leagues. I don't know what's happened to him. He is the one pitcher now that when I see him come in, I'm like, shit. Okay, which Alex Lang are we going to get today? I have no confidence in him. I've got total confidence right now in Faedo, in Holton, Jason Foley, Chafin, Shelby Miller. I got none of that when it comes to Alex Lang. He's not awful. He's not quite Ryan Carpenter or Drew Verhagen, Bruce Rondon level bad. Not even close, actually. But the level of comfortability and reliability I have with him, it just, every time he appears, it dwindles more and more.
Yeah, I don't disagree. That is definitely a point of concern. But otherwise, yeah, the bullpen is looking good. Starting pitching is looking pretty good. Kenta Maeda seems to have maybe started to figure it out and kind of get back to it.
He just leaves so many balls over the plate. That's my only concern.
Looked better in his last start. And so
him and Flaherty, for the record. Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully starting to get that figured out as well. Shall we look ahead to this week?
Let's do it.
So we got Lorenzen v. Olsen tonight as we're recording this. So as you probably listen to this, you'll have you'll know the result of that game. Then tomorrow we've got a matinee, TBD versus Casey Mize. Then
Gotta like TBD's odds.
TBD, and then we're again TBD for the 17th with Skubal on the mound for the Rangers there, and then heading to the Thursday game is Kenta Maeda back on the mound there. So that's kind of what it looks like with the Rangers at home. An evening game tonight, and then a solid little three matinees in a row for those of you that want to watch baseball while you work. And then the Tigers head over to Target Field to take on the Twins again for another 3 games there. I'm more looking at ahead to that Twin series personally, just because obviously the division opponents matter more
Right.
To a certain extent, but obviously would love to see a split or better with the Rangers. Want to see, I sort of feel like I have to see 2 wins. I want to see 3 against the Rangers, especially at home.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. I think this is Lorenzen's first start of the season tonight against Reese Olson. So be interested to see him coming back to Comerica. Obviously had really good success with the Tigers last season. Yeah, I mean, Reese Olson, Casey Mize, been pretty solid thus far. I mean, no huge complaints with either of them, especially Casey Mize coming off the Tommy John last season. Tarek Skubal, I watched him pitch Friday night. He's great, man. I do have one critique / kind of concern with Tarek Skubal, and it's really not that bad because you know me, I've preached a lot about I wish guys were a little bit more intense. I wish guys were a little bit more emotional. Tarek Skubal's almost a little too psychotic on the mound. And I say that because I watched him on Friday get hosed on a couple of pitches that were close. And then I watched him get hosed on pitches that he thought were close and really were not. Yeah. And it just seemed like he was having a rough, he only pitched 5 innings and he went high 80s, low 90s in pitches. And I know he wants to pitch deeper into games. If he wants to do that, which I think I know he's fully capable of doing, he needs to kind of rein in his fire just a little bit. And I don't say that very often because I'm a big advocate of higher intensity and emotions and, just kind of being buck wild, but a little bit more in check because he's got the stuff. There's no doubt about it. But watching that game Friday, I was a little bit like, damn, Tarek, like calm down. Like some of his things he was like getting all fired up about. I was like, buddy, those aren't strikes. I mean, I know his adrenaline's kicking in the moment, but like, yeah, that's my one slight concern with Tarek Skubal. It's not a question of stuff. It's not a question about durability. If he can stay healthy, obviously that's the key for all these pitchers. He needs to just keep his emotions in check, just ever so slightly. But yeah, I think, Skubal's been great thus far. 2-0 on the season that's an awesome start there. And like I said, Mize and Olsen, I've really enjoyed watching them. Maeda and Flaherty have been okay. Jack Flaherty, I think, has had one really solid start, one really bad start, and one start kind of in the middle. And you could kind of say that about Kenta Maeda. Yeah, it's interesting. And then, I feel for Matt Manning because he's pitched really well in 2 starts thus far. And he's just kind of banking on either injuries or rainouts because that seems to be the only way he's going to make an appearance right now for the Tigers. And it's kind of crappy because I feel like the minute Reese Olson has a bad start or 2, he's going to draw the short straw and they're going to kick him to Toledo to bring up Manning. When in all actuality, I feel like it should be Kenta Maeda or Jack Flaherty, but they're not going to do that because they just signed them to big or, fairly big, I should say, contracts this offseason, especially Kenta Maeda. They got him on a 2-year deal. So, yeah, not complaining about the depth. Definitely need all types of depth. We've seen that, firsthand with the Tigers these last few seasons and pitching injuries, but just kind of sucks right now. I feel like Matt Manning's pitched really well in 2 appearances, and it's just kind of like, all right, great, Matt, thanks for coming up. We'll call you if we need you again. Yeah. Take care. Yeah.
In a way too early trade deadline prediction, I think it means the Tigers are going to move a pitcher at the trade deadline. I don't know who, but it does indicate that there's room to make that kind of move, which is great. Whether that is a veteran like Maeda or Flaherty, if they kind of like get themselves steady for some prospects, or a guy that is throwing really well for maybe some a bat or something like that. Seems like the early leaves are blowing in that direction.
I would say too that with guys like Kenta Maeda and Jack Flaherty, again, have to preach patience. We've only seen them start 3 games into this long season. And if I remember correctly, last year, the month of April, Michael Lorenzen was pretty awful. He was
Yep.
not very good for the Tigers his first few starts out of the gate. And Michael Lorenzen went on to be arguably their best pitcher last season until he got traded. Then Tarek Skubal took that mantle in the second half of the season, but gets traded to a contending team in the Philadelphia Phillies and then throws a no-hitter. So just sometimes you just got to pump the brakes ever so slightly. But I can understand, though, slightly also the fan perspective of being like, why do I have to watch Kenta Maeda pitch every 5 days when I could see Matt Manning, who in 2 starts has done more than Kenta Maeda has done in 3? Like, I get that argument, but a little bit of like, all right, just slow and steady. Let's see how it goes. Same thing for Jack Flaherty.
Yeah.
And just kind of, you got to give him a little wiggle room. I get it. It's frustrating because Manning is just kind of stewing in AAA, where he's been really solid thus far up at the major league level. But it's, it's a good problem to have. I'd rather us be like, man,
Agreed.
It sucks that Matt Manning can't pitch more, and be like, we have no one else. It's Matt Manning, and let's see what next minor league guy we can bring up. What's Ty Madden up to? Let's see what we can do. So
Exactly.
it's a good problem to have.
All right, Luke. I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Michigan in Trumbull podcast. Any closing thoughts?
Just want to see the Tigers go out and play well this week, in particular the offense. Got back on the strikeouts. Score with runners in scoring position, please. That was really the kiss of death in that first game against the Twins in extra innings. They just had runners on base, and they just couldn't get them in, and they were just striking out left and right. And yeah, for however much time Parker Meadows still has up at the major leagues, I hope he makes the most of it, because if not, I think he's back in Toledo pretty soon. And overall offense, just wake the hell up, please. Thank you. Bye-bye.